right, 3, 2, 1. All right, let me know when you're ready to go. And welcome back to Great Scott Marcus, episode 20. I'm Scott, and that one's Mark, not my penis, the guy below me. that sounds weird too. Anyways, welcome back to episode 20. We're inaugurating our 20th episode with fresh graphics that honestly are more effective and we could probably stick with for a while. The topic isn't Hype Train. I will probably insert a graphic there.
How am I not catching these fuck-ups?
And the source isn't Gizmodo, so I will have to insert graphics over those. But hey, we're advancing, and that's pretty cool. So, Mark,
it is cool.
The topic that is not Hype Train for today is going to Mars. And before we get into like the really nitty-gritty and obviously talking about this source right here, I want to ask you, would you go to Mars? Because there's kind of this initiative
after it's been established, yeah.
Well, hold on. So like, there's this initiative of like, do you hate your job? And like, well, go work on, go work on Mars. And it's just like,
it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah,
I feel like I would miss a lot, man. Like just the basics of everything. Like good food, because fucking at Mars, you're not gonna be able to make yourself a ham and cheese sandwich. You're gonna be drinking Soylent.
You might be able to. I mean, like, it depends. So like a lot of it would depend on like the things we're capable of establishing, like biodomes and farms within those biodomes. But yeah, I'm kind of on. I'm on the fence because I totally would go, but obviously I have health issues in my legs. I also don't really do things that would contribute. Neither of us really do things that would contribute to life on Mars. We do stuff for entertainment and stuff in design.
People need to be entertained, and you have design for stuff. I mean, I've got my degree in architecture. Maybe I could fucking design something.
We could be the first YouTubers on Mars. I don't know, but
short off topic. I feel like with this setup, it's better that we're kind of like looking at the camera here.
That's what I'm trying to do. So, and we will transition back to our larger view once we're kind of done talking about the potential for brain damage for those venturing to Mars. But it's
just the many small obstacles of going to Mars is potential brain damage.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and kick it off on that. Like I feel like this is something that it's one of those frontal issues. Like, this isn't something that suddenly scientists are just like, oh no, how didn't we think about that? Thank you, like internet news. Like, it's totally been like the same with air, the same with gravity. Like, these are things that they are trying to confront and have been trying to confront for decades.
Right. I think now we're finally getting to the point where there's finally a push, between these space programs, SpaceX and NASA and Boeing, trying to
literal
businesses
really
let this thing go.
As opposed to a public government infrastructure being NASA, literal businesses are trying to get into this. And that's
awesome.
that's also kind of scary too. It's awesome and scary. I think there's some good to it. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Elon Musk. You and I have talked about that. I've mentioned that on this show. I think he can be a bit of a doomsayer when it comes to AI. But when he comes out and he says, I want to up the chances for humanity's survival by getting to Mars, like, that is cool. That is badass, and that makes him a good entrepreneur.
Yeah, he's very much about like saving the. Obviously, he owns Tesla and like the Powerwall and like trying to use renewable energy, and he realizes that yes, we're kind of in this state of. Obviously, our generation probably won't ever be able to inhabit
Basically,
Mars,
we've started to realize our effects on our only environment that we have available to us.
So let's fuck up the next one over. Yeah.
Mars is already fucked up enough for humans to live on. So, like, pretty much. So basically, the issue that some of the first astronauts, or that will have to be confronted before. What's up?
I have to sneeze. It's like stuck. I'm sorry.
So basically, the issue that the first astronauts will have to confront is how they sneeze, because it's just gonna like fog up everything. I can't see. And so
Get to Mars and start sneezing like, there's nothing here. I'm allergic to Mars.
There's no allergies. This is why I left Earth.
There's dirt fucking everywhere. What are you talking about?
It is basically going to be the sun's radiation damaging our bodies and our brains, because the Earth's it's not the atmosphere, it's the magnetosphere. That's not part of the atmosphere. That's part of having magnetic poles in the actual structure of the Earth, not the atmosphere. And without that magnetosphere, we are subjected to radiation a lot more than just walking outside. And for me, that has been one of the real first turnoffs, like being reminded of this by the media, where it's just like, hey, going to Mars might kill you, technically, before you even get there.
I'm pretty sure Elon Musk had said that the first people that go to Mars are going to have to be ready to die, which is like a terrible thing
that wasn't Elon Musk. That was a lot of the media talking about just a trip to Mars, that basically there won't be any returning.
Right.
And so, what religion was that came out and said that is a suicide mission, and that that anybody who believes in that religion shouldn't go. It's one of the Eastern religions anyway.
Sure.
It's, to me, technically it's not a suicide mission to go and live out the remainder of your life, even if shortened, on a different planet. That would be like saying, like the first Christians who came exploring over here, that was a suicide mission.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of,
technically
said
it was.
They had the anticipation of not returning. So that's a great, way to parallel to it. It's just like
that's kind of another one of those philosophical conundrums. Is it or isn't it?
It's just funny because, it's like when, Christopher Columbus and whoever, all those explorers left Europe and came over to find,
Amerigo Vespucci.
Basically, they were trying to find another way to get to India, but they discovered, the New World, and they thought they were going to fall off the Earth because it was flat at the time. But they knew absolutely nothing, whereas, it's similar circumstance where it's like, yes, we're kind of
actually when they did sail off on that, I believe that was when they started to say that the Earth isn't flat.
Right. Well.
I get the point.
Right,
let's go ahead and transition back to the other view. Continue your point.
No, they just actually know we know a lot more about Mars and everything around it. So, it's the great unknown, but it's not as unknown as Christopher Columbus going to heading which directions at west into the unknown blue abyss and happenstance finding the Americas. So it's similar, but we still know more, which I guess is kind of reaffirming in that aspect.
It's so yeah, it's for basically getting out into space is basically our next step to. Thank you. Basically, getting out into I get comfortable when I'm.
Oh yeah, we're supposed to have relaxed conversations, so you just kind of want to be like, yes.
So basically going to space is basically like trying to discover the new world again. But it's more important from the perspective of this is important to humankind's survival. Absolutely. No matter what fucking way you cut it, the Earth has an expiration date, and so does the sun. And the next step for us living, especially for a species that is technically kind of overdue for an extinction event, it's important.
Yeah.
Especially for those of us, those of you who might be sitting on a super volcano,
or a giant fault line in California,
or that. Well, that's not as.
Have you seen San Andreas?
Oh my God! But that's not. Even that movie wasn't an extinction event. However, the supervolcano in Yosemite might be.
Right.
We're not entirely clear. And Mars, while technically uninhabitable for humans, would not technically face some of the extinction events that the Earth still could present to us through a supervolcano, through superstorms. Well, okay, superstorms technically, but it is a tectonically inactive planet.
Really?
That's what it is. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it ended its tectonic activity like a long time ago, and even Olympus Mons, which I believe is a supervolcano, is inactive. So, or it not only isn't inactive, I believe it's dead. Somebody can double check me on Wikipedia about that, and I'll actually probably do some reading after this as well because the stuff intrigues me. But Mars is intriguing because it's one of those things where it's like it's a brand new life, and by all intents and purposes there can be no wasted person.
Right.
You can't be a homeless person. No matter what, you have to have a task because everybody there has to be trying to help each other survive through the collective.
You'll be having a job of some sort.
Yeah, that's very important and very interesting because we've never had that kind of moral quandary per se when it comes to if we should survive or not. That GSM is actually off, so I'll have to readjust this graphic. But hey, learning by doing.
Of course.
And yeah, like I think about giving up things like online gaming or like connecting to Warframe and gaming, but like you think about some of these games or shows that we're attached to now, and it's just like it actually doesn't take very long for them to end.
Right.
And when it becomes viable for people like us to move to Mars, that might actually be even after like some of these things that we loved, you know, and were endeared by for so long might be over. And you know, that there might be these opportunities for young adults like us that still have yet to present themselves, losing our parents, getting a divorce, you know, like these are
something
kind
where
of
someone's
those...
going to be like, fuck it, I'm going to Mars. I've got nothing to lose. Might as well, you know, try to continue humanity in my own way that I can and contribute.
Those
to
are kind of very
society.
Those are very cool opportunities. I've lost my job. Maybe I should go to Mars. Like. For someone who, you know, is very high up in their career, their career rung, it might be that.
Go ahead.
It might be that opportunity where they're just like, here's an ad to go to Mars. Maybe I should. You know, like those things actually do present themselves all the time in our current society. However, the difference is that there's just no other planet to go live on right now. So.
Well, I feel like it may not be as hard as we would think. You know, the scientific community is huge. It's, you know, like very expansive. We don't know people that are like often involved in it. I feel like, you know, a lot of these people that are involved in the scientific community are very, they're married to it. Like that's their job. It's their passion. They want everything to do with it. So I feel like
they'll basically go live on a planet where they get to do their passion for the rest of their life until they hopefully retire. It completely
matters too, you know. And I feel like, you know, some of these people, and I don't want to like assume, you know, or like group anybody together, but like if you're like really married to your job, like that's what you do, like you probably don't have many people in your life already. So it's just like if the opportunity presented to somebody, it's like, hey, you're really good at this. You want to do this in Mars? And I'm sure more people than we think would be like, fuck yeah, I do. Like I've got nothing else over here. Like I go home to my cat. That's it.
You
know,
you could be one of the names inscribed in history that you know, like made our
high schools named after you for decades.
Yeah, well, yeah, like you look at like I'm totally that kind of person who's disconnected from a lot of people, and I do want to put out there, you know, since this is Ramble Entertainment, like condensing your world is dangerous. Like. Losing my bird has been very, very difficult for me, and very, you know, kind of a bit of a wake up too, where it's just like I need to do more and I need to have more of involvement in what little world I have, and that's why I've really been putting more effort into this YouTube channel. And even though it's small, hypothetically, if it were to become some kind of career, that would be awesome to go to Mars because my world still is small. However, without the fucking internet of Earth, that would be tough to do. But the point is still there that, like, there is this cool opportunity amongst those who do have what is easy to call condensed worlds, where your career is your life, you don't have many friends, you come home to a cat, and that's what makes you happy.
Right.
And it is worth saying to those who don't believe it that, yes, it is easy to be happy with just those things. I hear all the time from one of the podcasters I listen to, he's just like, don't just play games, go out and do things. And it's just like, no, like, stop. That's you. Like, that's his prerogative, and he should not force that on others. People are, what makes people happy is not shared by everyone.
Right, exactly.
I am made very happy by having a small world where I play video games, but I have also realized how that can also hurt a lot more when part of that world is lost recently.
Sure.
So, and that would also be part of the danger of Mars, and also some obstacle for some, where it's just like, I can't take my pet.
Yeah.
They're family.
That would be like an issue too. Is like, I feel like, if someone were to go to Mars, I'm trying to think, like, if I were going over there for some reason, like, what would I take? Like, what could I take? And what things would they be like, no, man, we don't have room for that. Like, I'd be like, well, I'd want to bring a guitar with me because that's going to be a good way to pass the time. But then I'm like, dude, no, you can't do that.
I definitely think people who can spend a lot of time at computers will have an advantage going to Mars, because the computer opens up a world to you.
Yeah.
And granted, we will not have that availability to some of the first colonists, the second generation, maybe even the third generation of colonists. But somewhere at some point, there's going to be just they're going to drop servers and
communicate.
Basically, giant data centers. Well, no, I mean, you can communicate that stuff through satellites, but you can't just access that shit from planet to planet. You basically have to have a hub. Almost like a small copy of the internet sent to Mars. And so eventually, when that thing gets there where it's just like, oh, I can watch YouTube videos, or like a select amount of YouTube videos, or I can like download these movies, or shit like that, or like they have a Mars Netflix. Like, yeah, that's where they don't call it Earthflix here, Mark. God. And I think when that shit starts to happen, when people who are more prone to be like, I don't need to travel places. I'm very happy with my shows and being a homebody. I'm very happy with video games and being a homebody. That's really when there will be a lot more opportunity for people who are happy being homebodies. And that's interesting. That's fascinating. Like, there's going to be a whole nother study of people and how they live, of anthropology, and how, like, if we make it, I mean, like, God forbid something fucking happens in between here and there. Like, man.
Well, it's interesting, though. You talk about, like professions here, like on Mars, is probably going to be completely different because, I mean, not right away, but I'm sure over the next, like, if we're still on Earth and also inhabiting Mars, like, we will probably evolve at some point, like, just, probably like nuances, like hair, skin, eyes, and then like the professions, like dermatologists or, doctors of certain.
Mars has less gravity than Earth too.
Yeah, exactly. And that's going to take a toll on our bodies. So, physically, you're like, well, something doesn't feel right. Well, no, fucking shit. It doesn't feel right. Like, there's not as much gravity over here. So it's not like, I'm not being. That's going. Our bodies are dependent on so many factors here on Earth. Where on Mars, it's going to go into some sort of shock, I'm sure, which is what the article is basically saying. It's.
There's also going to be more kind of that's going to push that initiative of technology merging with man to help us extend our life or improve our lives, where it's just like, okay, you know, the bones in your legs have become too brittle from Mars reduced gravity, so
or lack of pressure, too much pressure.
We're going to fuse. Well, no matter what, we still have to have a particular amount of pressure within our built environments. Right. We're not going to be living outside on Mars. They will be sealed environments. It's just what makes Mars convenient is its gravity. There should still be, even though it's less, there still should be enough that we don't have to try to mitigate that with technology.
What is the gravity? Is it like 90%, 80%?
I want to say it's 8.8 something, but let me go ahead and pull that up.
What's interesting though too is like, you know, our bodies need, you know, X amount of pressure, basically our atmospheric pressure to you know, to function properly, whether it's blood flow or.
Oh wow!
Were we wrong?
It's it's 1/3. It's nearly 1/3 of Earth's gravity. So that's gonna be rough.
That's gonna be tough.
And yeah, like there might be instances where it's just like your legs have stopped working. We're gonna fuse an exoskeleton to your legs, and
I mean, you got like, I mean, your burster sacs, you know, like those are like fluid in there, which, you know, probably depend on a certain equilibrium that your body presents itself every day, and you know,
low gravity might actually be easier on some issues.
We also don't know these things, which is interesting, and I think that kind of goes back to the idea that after a while, you know, a couple generations in, and we, like humans on Mars, would start to evolve a certain way where
it'd take more than a couple. It'd take
a couple,
like 10 or 20 maybe.
Right.
Again, evolution is slow, but technology is what will make us speed it up. So it's tough because the conversation around technology and evolution is basically that we're basically going to stop evolving because we're going to start evolving ourselves through technology, and we'll stop evolving because technology will have so much influence over our bodies. And I can't imagine a world where Mars isn't a bigger push to that side of things.
Right.
But so like. They keep pushing the date back, you know.
Well, so like it's not realistic to be like 2020. That's it. Like what?
And that's it. We're going or we're
like,
not.
There's infinite number of things that can go wrong between then and now. You know, with testing out different technologies and I don't know, just trying to figure out what the fuck actually is going on over there and what you're gonna experience and how to get from A to B. That's gonna be fucking difficult.
And I think part of that is also like. The government, you know, they're just like, well, we want to be there by, like, this date. And I just wish NASA would be like, well, fuck you. You're stupid.
Right.
Like, because, obviously, as you said, like, there's so many things that we have to figure out. And I think we'll see it in our lifetime. I think there is a great chance that for those who are our age, like nearing 30, those who are just over 30, maybe 2 generations under us, just won't be able to go because it will be too late, where it's just like, no, this isn't feasible at your age.
Yeah. You're like maybe approaching 60 or 90, like it's just not going to happen. You're going to have to get some healthy young bodies to go to Mars. Yeah,
when we're like in our 60s, we might be able to see it where it's just like, yes, we're starting to send older people. And that'll be very cool to see and to say, like, I remember a time when we're also going to be a part of that generation that's fucking gaming when we're in nursing homes, dude.
That'd be kind of cool.
It will be. Yeah, like it's fucking fascinating, and I truly love this shit. And I think we're really privileged to have lived around this time, but this is also a very scary time where it's just like getting to Mars is important, you know, like you're starting to hear some rhetoric where it's just like we're on the brink of another huge. We might be on the brink of another huge war.
Or we might do it ourselves, or Mother Nature is going to say fuck you guys for ruining me.
So, scientists like to say that we are a violent species by nature, and a surprisingly violent species by nature, but we obviously don't have any other standard to go by where it's just like, oh, well, there's those lizard people over on, in Australia, so, like, they're pretty docile, surprisingly, for lizard people compared to humans. But, so yeah, there's obviously no real comparison, but it's undeniable, compared to just regular animals, that we are surprisingly violent, and for a violent species, we should have backup plans.
We really should.
Yeah, and we need to get to space. That's really what it comes down to, because, again, no matter what way you cut it, we have an expiration date.
Whether it's nature or our own doing, or
Earth just gone. And that's another side to this. I hope we get to see us moving animals to Mars. And the reason I sincerely hope that is because my heart does actually I feel it when I read about, like, this species is basically done. Because of what we've done to Earth, and that does hurt. But the solace I take away from that shit, and this often surprises people when I say that, because this isn't something easily thought about. The Earth has an expiration date, which means everything on it that does not get off it has an expiration date.
Right.
But we would be the only mechanism with which pigs, cows, birds, dogs, cats
lizards
could live past the time of Earth.
Yeah.
And that is like that gives me chills, because that's kind of one of those, like, playing God things where it's just like, these things were meant to die, and we prevented that, and that's cool.
It's pretty heavy.
Rats and cockroaches, like, even if they make it, like, they are
cockroaches
additional.
Are always gonna make it. They're fine.
I mean, yeah, but it's just like, if the Earth is gone and we don't make it, like, they don't make it either. So It's just like, that is cool, and I truly hope that we actually do get to see that time.
It'd be cool. Be interesting. It'd be weird, to be like just watching TV and being like, oh, we're going to fucking Mars.
They successfully landed the first pigs on Mars. Like,
when pigs fly. Yeah. Oh shit! I just lost a ton of money.
I mean, like, you hear about it all the time. Like, in fact, the one time you and I got into kind of a text war about it, like, mankind's a virus, and and I was just like, well, yeah, but we also stand to be the only thing that has the opportunity to save other things. Viruses don't do that.
Right.
Like, that is
it's all a matter of perspective. That's too. It's like, we are poisoning our own planet. Basically biting the hand that feeds us, but at the same time, we're smart enough and capable to try to stop that, which I think. Yeah, it's hard to say that we're trying to stop it anymore now, but we are trying to do something about it.
Obviously efforts are being made.
Right, and they're still being made, despite I remember some scientists' efforts saying that the carbon emissions in our atmosphere are beyond repair now. We're all fucked.
Actually, supposedly the ozone is actually healing right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That'd be good to know.
Yeah, there was a piece on that recently, so it's hard to talk about. But no matter what way you cut it, mankind's technology or the way in which climate is evolving around us, whether one believes that we have played a part in that or not, animals are dying. And, people talk about that too, about how, like, mankind's awful, we're killing off animals, but man, I do really take so much solace in just like, yeah, but we're also the only ones that can make them live past their proper expiration date.
That's a proven fact already with many species that have been endangered or on the verge of extinction. We've made
and some of that was our fault to begin with. So.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Some is, some isn't. I don't have a list of things
some hasn't been.
Right.
Yeah. Like you think about how many of those reindeer or elk that were lost in that lightning strike in Europe. Like
hundreds.
That's a huge chunk. 300 or something. Yeah. That's a huge chunk of a species that is not human. And so we, as an intelligent species, now have the opportunity to say like, okay, so
no hunting
that's
them,
a huge chunk. Yeah, we can actually control and try to help the species recover from such a loss.
And we've done that with like the Galapagos tortoise, white rhinos, black rhinos, and those efforts are still being made trying to like save those species. But
I get fucking chills talking like that is so cool, because like we live in a time where communication is binding us, but it's binding us in such a negative way. And man, like that kind of like, no matter what way you fucking cut this, if we make it, other animals make it, and that is cool, and that is good, and there is nothing like there's no other way about that, unless like we literally just put them in a 4x4 box and it's just like, that pig's alive. and I hope that doesn't happen, but we'll also have to accept that like we're going to be putting ourselves in confined spaces, and hopefully we can care for animals at the same time while keeping them confined too.
Right.
So,
and of course we had studying them and seeing how they react to the effects of Mars.
There's gonna be, if we make it to Mars, dude, and if like it gets off the ground, there are going to be so many new fields of study. This is going to be amazing. Damn.
Politicians won't be able to bitch about lack of jobs anymore.
Oh my god.
So many jobs been lost. They've been going to Mars.
We're losing jobs to Mars.
They've been taking all our jobs at Mars.
Build a space wall. And on that note, thank you for watching Great Scott Marcus. I've been Scott, and that one's been Mark here on Ramble Entertainment. This was our episode 20. Thank you to new subscribers who are checking out our content, those of you coming over from watching some Warframe content. I hope you enjoy. Please feel free to comment and do any of that bullshit.
Hope you like the new format, too. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
The more I look at it,
yes. I'm really happy with how this
more
turned
like, out. What's the
dynamic
word? Dynamic, like I don't want to say organic. It's just it's immersive almost. I don't know, because it's not so cut and dry and cookie cutter and square. There's
you can even see how it like just warps and changes to our need, and that's so cool.
It's good.
So
you did well, sir.
Thank you. We'll talk about the new splash screen. So expect an old splash screen for this week. But thank you for watching, and have a good one. And guess what, Mark?
Do good things.
Do good things, Internet.